Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is our new AD training that is going to be specifically looking at screeners. As Emily said, this will be recorded, so please do note that this is being recorded. Anything you say or put in the chat will be viewable through our YouTube page, so we want to give you all that heads up before we really dive into the training. Also, please do note that if you miss anything, in just a moment, I will be dropping a copy of the PowerPoint into the chat so you can access all the links and everything and follow along. It is a hard copy of the PowerPoint because unfortunately I am having issues syncing and logging in with my Microsoft account. So in just a moment, I will put that in the chat if all pans out well. Let's see. And it might take a moment for it to load, but it should be showing up now. I'm going to have you guys access that in just a moment here. Try to click on it, and if you can access it and open it, will you give me a thumbs up or a verbal "we got it"? I see a thumbs up by Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Is everyone else able to access it and open it? Okay, awesome. I see more thumbs ups. Okay, you are welcome to follow along. Terlyn says yes. All right, perfect. There's only little changes to what you have in this. The opening slide doesn't say screener like this one, but you should be able to follow along and all the links should be the same. And we have on with us today Tracy Gooley. Tracy Gooley is my partner in WIDA. So Tracy and I do all things WIDA. Tracy really focuses on the alternate WIDA assessments. And then I oversee pretty much everything when it comes to the overall test administration. So I am Megan Lopez, and both Tracy and I are at USBE. We are assessment specialists. I oversee the WIDA assessments, and I also oversee our secondary language arts assessments. Tracy, I'll let you give a formal introduction.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. So I'm Tracy Gooley. I'm one of our special education assessment specialists here at USBE. So I tag team WIDA stuff with Megan. I help with the accommodation side of things. And then, like she said, the WIDA alternate assessment. So between the two of us, we can usually get your questions answered or find the information you need. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. Also with us is Emily Ng. She is our program specialist. She is also our technology guru, and she is our behind the scenes moderator. She is doing the recording. If you do need any technical assistance during this webinar and training, please, you can just chat Emily, and I believe you can send her a private chat if you're needing help with anything. But again, we do want you to know that this is being recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube page. Up on this second slide, you see my contact information and Tracy's contact information. One thing that I do want to let you know as new ADs, if you ever need to get in touch with anyone at USBE outside of our licensing, because licensing, they are very available via phone. But for the rest of us specialists and coordinators, it's probably easiest to get in touch with us through our email. We are quite often doing trainings in meetings or, conducting assessment reviews. So it's hard for us to be able to answer phone calls. It's easy for us to sneak a quick peek at our email and be able to respond really quickly. So while our phone numbers are up on this slide, I would highly encourage you to email us first and foremost for a quicker response. Additionally, all of our assessments have help desk lines that will connect you to the vendors that run our various assessments in partnership with us. And they are also a huge wealth of information, and a lot of times they can help you with any technology troubleshooting. So again, email or help desks if you have specific issues going on with any assessments. So for today, though, just to ensure that we're all on the same page and really leaning into our teacher clarity moments, we do have a learning intention, rationale, and success criteria. So I do know that we have some ADs that are veteran, but hopefully a lot of you are new. If you are a veteran, hopefully this is a refresher for you. New ADs, what our plan is we are going to be slowly introducing the various assessments for you all through different trainings. This is our first one because we've decided we don't want to fire hose you with every single assessment throughout the year. We wanted to bring individual trainings to you in a way that I guess aligns with the assessments that you'll be giving and when. So you'll be seeing in our AD memos, we have AD memos that go out every week on Tuesdays, typically in the afternoon, with all the information you need. You will see the future trainings for all the different assessments. If you're a new AD or if you're a veteran and want a refresher, you'll be seeing those calendars and information on those trainings that will be coming up if you are a new assessment director or AD. If you are a new AD and you are not getting those weekly AD memos, please contact Emily Ang, and I'm going to ask Tracy or Emily, probably Tracy, since Emily is doing all the recording right now, to drop Emily's email in the chat, and Emily can get you added to our listserv to get those weekly communications. So we should see Emily's email pop up in just a minute. But today's training, our purpose today and our learning intention is that our new ADs will learn about the WIDA assessment requirements. So you'll get a really quick broad overview on just the WIDA assessments in general, but particularly today's training is going to be really exploring the WIDA screeners, which we use for identifying potential. We use for the identification process for a potential ELs or English learners in Utah. And why are we doing this today? Well, our rationale for this is to ensure that all ADs have their LEAs following the law as it relates to our English learners in Utah. And so our success criteria is how are we going to do all this? Hopefully by the end of the training, you will be able to access your 2 necessary WIDA accounts that you will need as an assessment director, and then also understand where to access all the necessary resources. Most questions can be accessed by these various resources, but if you're having a hard time sifting through them, because it is a lot of information, please, of course, always email us with any questions. And then the final one is understanding the process for identifying ELs. Ooh, there's a typo. Identifying ELs in Utah. So this training is slated for an hour and a half. We may not go that long. We just wanted to ensure that you have time to actually be trying to actually access these, following along, clicking on the links, ensuring that everything is actually working for you. So we're hoping that there will be a little bit of work time in accessing everything, and also ample time for questions. If you do have any questions during this training, please drop them in the chat. I also do believe that Emily did give you power to unmute. Is that the actual case? That is working. If anyone wants to be brave to be like, yep, I'm coming off of mute, I'll say something. Anyone want to give it a go? I'm not having anyone super brave at this moment, but I am a presenter that does not mind if people want to interrupt me at any time. Jeff says it's not allowed, and Grant says mine won't let me.
Oh, it works now.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. That works.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So once again, I'm going to drop in the chat because I know we have a couple more people that just joined. I'm going to drop the slides in the chat for those that just joined. Oh, shoot. Oh, please. Ah, sorry. I'm really hoping that this works. Sorry, guys. I wasn't expecting this. It's a good thing I did download. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay, here we go. I was not able to log in at all this morning, so I'm really glad that went smoothly there. Okay, so presenting again. Sorry, technology on a Monday. Okay, so we have our rationale, our learning intention rationale and success criteria all set. Everyone can come off of mute or type in the chat, so let's get going. Okay, first, just overall tips on WIDA. As an assessment director or an AD, you will need to communicate with your colleagues. So one of the biggest things that we notice where things will go awry for assessment directors in this job is if they don't know their proper colleagues to communicate with. So for those of you that are new or are veterans, these are people that sometimes these positions might turn over. You'll want to ensure that you know these people that you need to work with, your ALS or Title III colleagues. So ALS stands for Alternative Language Services. That's what we call it here at USBE. Some districts call them Title III coordinators. Some people call them EL specialists. Every LEA is different, but basically who is it that oversees your population of English learners? You'll definitely want to know that person, find that person. You will need to be communicating with them. Also, just so you know, we do trainings and present to our ALS directors for all the LEAs pretty regularly. If you are this person as well for your district, because you might wear multiple hats, your contact for everything Title III and language services is going to be Christelle Estrada. So Dr. Christelle Estrada oversees all of our Title III services and monitoring. Tracy and I oversee all the assessments for our English learners. I am going to ask one of my colleagues to kindly drop Christelle Estrada's email in the chat as well for all of you. One thing I do want to say is that right now we know there is a lot of changes potentially happening with Title III funding. We are not sure where all of this is going to land right now as it is being reviewed by the federal government. As USBE gets more information when it comes to any Title III funding, that will be communicated out to the LEAs. But again, if you have any questions about that, please contact Dr. Christelle Estrada. And I have a couple of colleagues that have kindly, nicely, thank you, dropped her email in the chat a couple of times for us. So again, Christelle oversees all Title III funding and monitoring. So that's the programmatic side, and we are the assessment side. Another person that you are going to definitely want to become close friends with in your LEA, if this is not you as well, wearing multiple hats, is your technology coordinator, who is in charge of all the technology in your LEA. This is going to be the person who's going to install the student and test administrator technology. Okay, you're going to want to talk to them about where are we going to install the testing platforms for students. Are they going on just specifics? Like, do you have one-to-one devices? Do all the students get that secure browser installed on their computer? Are you only going to have a specific set? Maybe you have a Chromebook traveling lab that you're going to use, or maybe you have a stationary lab dedicated. That's something that you'll want to talk to your technology coordinator about, okay? It has a mind of its own. It's starting to advance. So you'll want to make sure that you know the testing coordinator. Your administrators at all the schools, okay, you definitely want to be communicating with them the testing plan. When will everything be happening and how? So where will testing be completed? Some LEAs have a testing team that goes out to schools, and some LEAs have specific testing coordinators at every school. So you will need to decide what is that going to look like for your LEA and how are you going to communicate that out. Again, one of the biggest issues we see in hurdles is that communication isn't happening with all of these groups and it's not being shared. So once it gets down to the school and student level, key pieces are often missed. And so we want to make sure that all the messaging and all the information is going all the way down to the correct people. And then another person that you definitely want to be communicating with on a regular basis is your special education director in your LEAs or within your schools. So how will accommodations be communicated? Students that need specific accommodations to be meeting their 504 or IEPs, and also who will be participating in alternate screeners or alternate access, right? And how is that administration going to be handled? So as we get into that screener component for alternate screener, you'll notice that those tests have to be done in a one-on-one paper test administration. So you're going to have to consider those things. So again, making sure that we have really good, strong communication with our partners within our LEAs to make sure that our assessments are flowing smoothly. These resources as well on this website are going to be very valuable. I suggest that you save these links, put them, save them and favorite them, create maybe a WIDA folder on your browser or desktop where you have access to these things, okay? So the first one is our USBE WIDA website. The next one is going to be our USBE Title III website. And then we have our Utah WIDA website and then WIDA Accessibilities and Accommodations Manual. The USBE WIDA website, I'm going to actually exit out so we can go in and explore this resource, okay? So when I'm in at the Utah State Board of Education website, the way that I want to access, if I'm not going to use that link directly, is I'm going to go to sections, and then I'm going to go to assessment. And then one resource I'm going to just introduce you to as a new assessment director is go to assessment directors, and then you will see all the meetings. You'll see the calendar for our upcoming year, okay? You will also be able to link to our YouTube channel. Every single meeting, every AD meeting, every training is recorded and posted here. And then we have also a very handy assessment director resource guide that walks you through all the assessments. It's kind of a year scope and sequence, and the different specialists at USBE that oversee our different assessments, okay? Assessment observations, who's going to be monitored or come for observations. It's not really monitoring our compliance, but for federal peer review, we do need to do observations as a federal requirement. So again, this will be great for you as assessment directors. And thank you for dropping our link into the chat, Tracy, if you want to be following along and trying out this. But again, going back to our homepage for assessment, I'm going to go to assessments, and you're going to see all the different assessments. Okay, we want to go to the WIDA tab, and this will link you to everywhere that you need to get as well. So this will just introduce you to WIDA. We will be updating this website really soon, as we just barely locked down our new testing dates last week, so we haven't had a chance to update our webpage. This will go through the access testing requirements, the screener testing requirements, but a couple of things that I definitely want to draw your attention to. Again, we'll have the testing dates updated and our professional development updated. We have some frequently asked questions. One of the first resources I want to draw your attention to is the Access Native Language Codes. Depending on every LEA's various SIS, you will have to input language codes for what language do the students speak as their primary language. This document will give you the actual code that you should be putting in that we would collect. Maureen, did you want to say anything about the language codes and making sure they're input in SIS correctly for the UTREX exchange? I would like to introduce you all quickly to one of our other colleagues who didn't know I was going to call her out right now, Maureen Rushing. She is our data specialist in assessment. Maureen, do you want to introduce yourself and give any information?
Hi, I'm Maureen Rushing. I deal with student information and rostering for most assessments. I would just caution you to make sure you are entering this data correctly. It's very hard to fix it once it's in and being sent along to the state. So just very carefully enter this EL data, the language code, and
the scores once you get them.
Yes, the scores once you get them. Just be cautious when entering this, because it's a lot easier to do it correctly the first time than to fix it once it's in there.
Yep. Thank you, Maureen. Maureen's going to be your queen on all things data exchange for all assessments. Future trainings that she'll be talking to you more about UTREX exchanges, and she has a lot of great resources that you'll start to access in our assessment director meetings. All right, so back to this page. The other page, this is going to be updated very soon as well, that we want you to access, get to know, bookmark it, favorite it, okay, is this Utah English Learner Assessment Guidance right here. Okay, this gives all the steps, frequently asked questions, and resources for everything when it comes to ELs in Utah. So there are a lot of different unique situations that you might encounter as you assess ELs in Utah. And this is going to answer a ton of your questions, and this will address a lot of those unique situations, okay? So this actually walks you through the process for students entering Utah and what identification is going to look like, okay? So again, this is a resource that you're going to want to get to know really closely. Tracy drop this in the chat. So what I'm going to do is I want you to take a couple minutes to go through this resource, review it, and then I want to give some time for you to ask any questions, and then we're going to really jump into the actual process. I'm going to have you read this overview, unique situations, and then we're going to jump into the process of everything for screening students. This is a very important resource. Again, most questions that ADs, even veteran ADs have, can be answered with this document. So let's take, it is 6 pages long. Let's take about 3 or 4 minutes to go ahead and just silently review it. And then I would invite, after that time is up, you to come off of mute or type in the chat any questions that you do have. So I want to give you some really good think time with this document. So it's 9:57. Let's touch base again at 10 o'clock. Go ahead and review this resource as you can. Okay, we should just be about wrapping it up. If you didn't have time to read the entire document, don't panic. You'll hopefully be able to find time, not over your summer vacation or break or anything like that, but as questions arrive, hopefully you'll be able to access this document more and more and get to know it. I will say sometimes when you just are entering the world of WIDA, it gets to be a little overwhelming the first time. Give yourself a good year to go through an entire assessment cycle to get comfortable and really get to know it. If you don't know everything on this first go, don't panic. It does take time to get to know this process. So again, this is going to walk you through the exact process in Utah to align with federal and Utah law and rule, okay? And again, this should have working links to take you to all the necessary resources as well. That's one thing about all assessment resources is that, you know, you kind of just get to go on these clicking journeys, one link to the next link to the next link. So I always get really used to my back button becoming my friend by being able to say, okay, where did I start on this journey? So again, this should walk you through the procedures for identifying students. What questions do you have that immediately came top of mind after reading this document? If there are none, we'll move on, but give you a second to come off of mute or write them in the chat. Y'all are making my job way too easy. Hopefully this side is, this document just spells it all out. It's very clear, and hopefully that's the answer. Or if you are too shy, you can always just hop it in the chat privately or send us an email, okay? Please do note that we are always happy to help you. One thing that you will probably hear me say quite often in our AD meetings is people are always apologizing for emailing or attempting to call, saying, we know you're so busy at the state. Supporting you is our job, so never apologize. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that we're there to support you, to make sure that these assessments are going smoothly within your LEA for your students, okay? All right, so again, this is the first website that we wanted you to become familiar with, where to access all of your WIDA resources. Going back to our training, the second one was our Title III website, which I'm going to just access from here. So back to our homepage, you can click on the link in the PowerPoint, or you can go to our homepage and follow along. This is the other way to access it. You're going to go to ESEA, Programs and Related State Initiatives. That'll take you to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act page for our website. And then you're going to scroll down to Title III, English Learners, Immigrants, and Refugees. And again, this is Dr. Christelle Estrada's website for all Title III purposes. It's going to have her overview, and I think legislation is a really great link if you have any questions about just current legislation in Utah. Again, we will be updating all of our website. We do that almost every summer as everything starts to roll over and we get into a new year. And then the one link that you're going to want to know, and probably again bookmark or favorite, is going to be this Forms tab. You can get to this Forms tab from the last website that I shared with you, the WIDA assessment website. There's a link to it there, or you can access it here. This is going to be where you're going to access the home language survey, the annual parent notification letter, or exit letters. And we do provide them in various languages. Okay. So probably the most common question that I get, especially when it comes to any of these forms, and the home language survey especially, is do we have to use this one exactly? You don't have to use this form exactly as it is, but you do have to use this exact verbiage on your form. So if you want to download this information and put it on your own official LEA letterhead, or personalize it to your LEA, you 100% can. It just has to have all of this verbiage on it. Your LEA might add certain questions for other information that you are going to collect per your LEA policy. That is fine as well, as long as it has this information on it, word for word, okay? And that's going to go for all of the forms, whether it's this home language survey, the annual parent notification letter, or exit letters to parents, okay? Now, some LEAs collect this information each year electronically at registration for each school year. If this is going to be an electronic form, again, that is absolutely fine. Just please make sure that this information is on your electronic form word for word. Are there any questions about these forms and how to access them? And we'll get into the nitty-gritty here in just a few slides. Just want to make sure that you're able to access what you need first and foremost. Okay. The next resource is going to be the WIDA website, and we have a Utah-specific page on that, okay? So, and I have this. All right, so this is the WIDA website. That link that you have should probably take you straight to the login page. You can just go from their homepage. You can go to login right here, okay? Or if it took you here, you can click to the WIDA Secure Portal or the drop down. So there's a couple of places. The WIDA Secure Portal, okay, is one of the accounts that you will need. So you can access it from here. And then WIDA AMS, which we will get to in just a moment. I will show you both of these in a moment, but I just want you to be sure that you can access this. Also, you'll want to go to member state pages to Utah. And this has all of our assessment information as well. So this is another great resource. Again, this one's just about to be updated because we just nailed down our testing dates for next year. Our contacts are here, mine, Dr. Estrada's, Tracy's, and then the client services. And again, WIDA client services, they are great. They are some of the best client services that I've interacted with personally. So if you contact them when you have any questions about giving any of the assessments. They're going to be able to help you very quickly. And most of the time they'll be able to respond faster than us at the state, especially if we're in meetings or trainings. On this page, a couple things that I want to point out also is it'll have the testing dates, and then down here, requirements and resources. Access for ELLs checklist. This is something that we'll review when we do our new AD training specific to access. But the one that you'll want to know is the identification and placement guidance. For now, Tracy has been awesome and been dropping all these links in the chat. It's a lot. That's why I was like, you might want to, like for me up here, you'll notice I just have a bookmark folder for all things WIDA. That might be the best way to go. The identification and placement guidance. This one still, again, we just nailed this down. This one is still our 24-25 guidance. We just submitted this, Tracy and I, so this has been updated for the 25-26 school year. So it will be on this website very soon. This will walk you through our, again, expectations for giving the assessments and identifying students in Utah. Okay, but again, I apologize. These have all just been updated, so they have not been posted yet. And then you can just drop down to other requirements. Okay, some of the information that you'll see repeated a lot is that if you're giving these tests, you do have to complete the trainings annually. So a lot of this information will be there. So this is our WIDA state page. So again, great resources, things that you want to bookmark. Susan, I'm glad that you're finding all of these really useful. The final one is going to be our accessibilities and accommodations manual. So I'm going to go back to our State Board of Education page to walk you through how we can get to this as well. So here in our sections, I'm going to go to special education, programs, and guess what? Tracy's really lucky because it's alphabetical, and accessibility, accommodations, and assessment is the very first one that's going to pop up, so you don't have to scroll. So we'll click under programs, and we'll click right here. And this is going to take you to Tracy's page, okay? From here, you're going to see a lot of information on law and different assessments, but where you're going to want to go is to accommodations, and then you'll be able to click on the Utah Participation and Accommodations Policy. And again, Tracy's going to have her 25-26 edition of this updated really soon. Again, summer is our rollover season. Tracy, is there anything you want to say about when to expect it or anything like that, or any updates coming to this website?
Nope. Our goal is to always have it, by the first AD meeting come August, right? We're still working with vendors on updating things. I'm also going to give you the link here to specifically what might be the best place for right now would be WIDA's Accessibility and Accommodations Manual. So they have got theirs updated. So I'll put this link in the chat. And that would be the one that I would probably work off using right now, especially for screener stuff as you start engaging in those. Okay, there's that. And then if you click on the alternate assessment tab though, Megan, that's where you can find our alternate assessment participation guidelines and information there. This is a document that's getting an overhaul right now. We got to do some updating to some of this. So more specifically for your special ed directors, and we're looking at updating our definition of significant cognitive disabilities and things like that. So we will in August have some new stuff coming out, but you will be very, very aware of when all those new updated documents are ready. So in the meantime, these would be the two that I would work off of. That, yep, there you go. That accessibility manual for WIDA and then the Utah alternate participation guidelines.
Yep. So y'all are just lucky that you're coming on board during the summer rollover. So typically our rollover happens June to July. So we have to start posting everything come July 1st. And of course, it takes time to get everything updated and posted on all the different websites. We do. So Tracy, we do have our Utah accommodations policy. But part of that policy is that we follow WIDA's accessibility and accommodations manual, okay? And you will start to see that more spelled out in the guidelines, okay? So again, more resources, and you will probably notice, wow, Megan's starting to build up all of these tabs, right? That's why I suggest, of course, bookmarking everything and making sure you have a way to quickly access all of these different resources. There's a bunch, and it gets to be a little overwhelming, so we want you to decide what's going to be best for your own organizational purposes and needs. But for every assessment that you're going to be learning about through this year, you're probably going to be learning all of these different components for every assessment. So it will be probably very beneficial if you start to decide, how do I want to organize all of this within my browsers or desktops? How am I going to keep all of these different websites accessible when I need them and easy to find? All right, so back to where we're at. Ooh. So again, these are going to be your main resources, which we just walked you through. And again, everything should be dropped in the chat. I want to pause at this point to see if anyone has any questions before we start to get into the nitty-gritty in the process. All right. And then I do want to know, I got a private chat from one of our participants regarding specifics for entering information into your SIS. We are going to get to that in some later slides. So just hold on and I'll answer that specifically. Otherwise, y'all are either just a little bit still waking up on a Monday morning, or you're making me feel very confident in that I'm giving you all the information you need and there are no questions, because I'm just, giving it all to you. So one or the other, but we'll go with it. So moving on. Okay, so in Utah, what is the process? Well, when a student comes to Utah, the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to fill out a home language survey, okay? Again, we just went to where we access those forms. On that home language survey, there are 5 required questions. The very first 3 questions on that home language survey are going to be about the student's primary language. Now, please do note, if you are a veteran, AD, those questions were updated in 2023. So if you are using older than 2023 home language surveys, you're not using the correct questions. We updated our questions to align with the approved Office of Civil Rights and Department of Justice home language survey questions. So the questions that we are now asking directly align with what was approved with, again, OCR and DOJ. So the very first 3 questions, okay, those are pertaining to the student's primary language. If any of those 3 questions, any one of them, could be 1, 2, or all 3. If any one of those 3 questions is answered with a language other than English, then that tells me I need to screen this student. Per the guidance that you had time to review, it does say, though, if a student is a current Utah student, you may not need to rescreen this student, right? So you can go to the data gateway and you can look up and see a student's screener scores. Now, not all students have screener scores yet because we just started collecting screener scores last year. And so LEAs are still inputting those into their SIS, and we're still collecting those and updating that via UTREX. But if a student has access scores or a screener score, then you're going to know I don't need to rescreen this student, because hopefully in their cumulative file or as you look in the data gateway, this student already has scores and they have qualified or exited or been deemed proficient, then you don't need to screen them. If the student is new to Utah, they came from another state or from out of the country, then you do need to screen that student, okay? Screening is available all year long, so anytime a student enrolls, okay? So we start with screening, and for this year, the new screeners can start now. They technically were available on July 1st, okay? So we have the screener online, okay, for grades 1 through 12. And then we have WIDA screener for kindergarten. That is a paper pencil test. We'll get into that. One-on-one test administration. Also not here is the alternate screener and paper screener. But again, we'll get into those details momentarily. So again, screeners are available all year as students enroll, okay? If a student then qualifies for being an EL per that screener, you will mark them correctly in your SIS. And again, I will walk you through that momentarily. But once a student is qualified, again, screener only really needs to happen once in Utah. There are unique situations where it might warrant more screening, which that guidance document discussed. The student will need to take access annually, okay? So screener, just for identification. Access is going to be the test for their annual growth and proficiency, okay? And again, all of these are directly in alignment to federal law, okay? So Title III law and ESSA. So the student will take either access. If they qualify, they might take alternate access. Again, we will have more information and trainings on access specifically as we get closer to that date. You guys are going to be the very first to know, so congratulations. These are the dates for testing for this upcoming school year. So January 6th to March 6th will be the access testing window. You will want to use that entire testing window. So please go ahead and put that on your calendar. I know there are a lot of other tests that require a testing plan where you might have a 6-week testing window or an 8-week testing window, or you're going to choose a specific day. With ELs, you want to use the entire testing window. So mark that on your calendars. I'm going to drop those dates in the chat. It feels very weird to be saying 2026. I had a moment the other day where I was talking to my husband and I was like, I think 2030. And I felt like I was talking about like hundreds of years into the future. And I realized, nope, that's less than 5 years away. Can't believe we're there already. So again, students will take the access until they reach proficiency. The access test is what determines your EL growth indicator for state and federal accountability. Okay, so this is the test that they have to take every year. So basically, again, this is the process, broad overview process of just access testing, okay? Or sorry, EL testing, apologies. All right. So you're going to need 2 accounts, like I said. The first one is going to be the WIDA Secure Portal account, okay? As an AD, if you do not have your account, what you are going to need to do is send me an email with your first and last name, your LEA, and I'll of course need the correct email address that you want this account linked to, okay? So again, send me first and last name, LEA name, so that's your district or charter name, and then the correct email that you want associated with this account. You will get a district level account for the secure portal. As an AD, a new AD, what you will then need to do is you are going to be responsible for setting up any accounts for any test administrators or users in your district or LEA, okay? So you will be charged with that. So if anyone says, oh, I need an account, I'm a test administrator, I will, of course, send them to you to create those accounts, okay? So you will need to create new accounts for your administrators, technology coordinators, and any educators. Also within the secure portal, you are going to monitor who's completed any and all of the trainings for the assessments that they need to give, okay? And I'll kind of go, again, we'll go into the website in a minute so I can show you where to access this stuff. This is also where you are going to download a lot of the free screener materials, okay? So again, we have here where you're going to log into the secure portal. So let's go ahead and go there now. So I'm going to log in. My view might be a little different than yours because I have slightly higher permissions at the state level, but this is what you will see once you log into the secure portal, okay? Again, if you do not have access, please send me an email so I can set this up for you right after the training. The first thing that I'm going to draw your attention to is this manage, okay? This is where you can manage users. When you click on manage users, and just as always, I have kids that are not in school on summer break and they break in somehow, even with the door locked. So apologies if they come in. So this is where you can create a new user. Okay, so and you will decide the level. I will always say you will, if they're giving the assessments, click on assessment trainings. For any user, always just do the self-paced professional learning because this will give them access to all the free self-paced Canvas professional learning that is provided by the state of Utah and WIDA. Okay. To double check to see if you have someone that is using already has an account, you can do search existing users to see, and that way you can update users. Apologies, just one moment. Okay, apologies. All right, so again, manage. Now, the other thing, like I said, is that you are going to need to check to see if people are doing trainings. The way you'll do that is through a certification report. And so here is where you can do a certification report, and you would want it to be for the assessment trainings. I am not going to do this because I would be showing lots of different educators' personal information and names and emails and the different trainings they've done. But this is where you will run those reports, and you can, of course, do it by the year. So for me, I would start at July 1st as the date because that's when all the screener trainings were just updated. So July 1st would be a safe one to start checking to make sure, did my test administrators complete the trainings and when did they do those? Okay. And then back to my main secure portal landing page. If you are doing your own trainings, you can do your own certifications to see. Okay. Any Utah specific webinars or webinars that were free for anyone for the entire consortium. WIDA is a consortium that is comprised of 41 states, territories, and departments. So any of those are recorded and posted here. Just general resources. This is a great one that I'll use quite a bit to download materials. Professional learning, this is where all the free professional online self-paced learning is, okay? So educators can do. Right now, we have a bunch of free professional learning. They're all Canvas courses. For assessment trainings, this is where you will go and access all the different assessment trainings to complete, to give. So these are, you can again filter. So you only need to complete the assessment training for the assessment you're actually going to administer. So if you're a secondary school, you don't need to do the kindergarten trainings, okay? Just do the ones that you are going to be giving. Okay, so these are the trainings that you'll complete. Again, Canvas courses. When you are done, it will be recorded in the system for yourself, or it'll be recorded for your test administrators for you to go and take a look at. Okay. Again, going back to resources now. This is where I'm going to get my test administration manuals, the TAMs, the scripts, and also some of those resources. This is where I'm going to download my screener for kindergarten. Screener for kindergarten, again, is a paper-based screener, one-on-one. It is all free for you to access, and you get all of those materials here. Just filter screener for kindergarten, apply, okay? And it'll give you the manual for accessibility. So if you need to have any accommodations for that student, our ID and placement guidance, the screener cards that you'll need, the toolkit. So if you want to just go through slides, if you want to do a training, additional training for your test administrators, you can. This is additional guidance. This is the response booklet for students. This is the score sheet. This is the link for a calculator because you will need to input the scores. And so you'll click on this and you'll put the scores in to get a full score report. From there, you'll want to print out that student score report. Okay. The storybook, the test administrator manual that you'll follow, the script that you'll follow, how to interpret those score reports once you get it and print it out, and then additional guidance for students that are visually impaired as well. Okay. Otherwise, for just screener online, again, if I filter, I can get all of the information for online, okay? There's a lot of resources here, but online is going to be given through AMS. So this is the secure portal and where I'm going to find everything that I need for screeners, scripts for kindergarten, the alternate screener as well. So again, I should go back and show you where to access. Alternate screener, filter, again, it's all free for download. Now, one question that we get is when you download and print these materials off, you can do black and white or color. They've done a lot of studies and research, and they have found that black and white versus color makes no difference in how a student performs on these assessments. So again, all of the alternate screener stuff is free for download as well. The alternate screener is brand new this year. It was just launched 6 days ago on July 1. All right, so we have gone through our WIDA Secure Portal account. The next account is going to be your AMS account. Again, you will need to contact me for this account, and I will set you up as a district level account. Again, you will be in charge of creating new accounts for your test administrators, technology coordinators, school level administrators, okay? This is where you are going to monitor student test completion, okay? This is the actual platform that you will run the tests from, okay? So AMS stands for, management system. Why can't I think of the A? Assessment management system. There we go. That should have been really easy on the top of my head. So in the vendor that brings all of WIDA's assessments to life is DRC. So you'll sometimes hear people refer to it as your DRC account or AMS. Almost all assessments have a vendor attached to them to bring them to life. So WIDA, you have your secure portal account. That's where you get all your documentation and some of your resources, but then the actual testing platform is AMS. So this is where you're going to order Braille and alternate access materials. I'm not going to go over that today because we'll go over that in a future training, where you can complete your data validation, which again, we will go over in a future test administration, and Maureen will have a lot to say about that because it's all about data. We'll do that in the future. And also where you retrieve test scores, which includes access and screener test scores. I do see a question in the chat. As an AD, do I have to manage under my WIDA account? I do not. Do I have to manage under my WIDA account? I do not. Susan, I'm not sure I understand that question. Do you mind coming off of mute to clarify? Susan, when you are ready to come off mute, you just jump right on and please interrupt. I'm not sure how to answer the question because I'm not quite sure I understand it. But when you're ready, just either type it in the chat or jump off mute. I can better answer your question. So your AMS account, okay, or DRC account, you're going to log in. It's going to look like this. And Tara Lynn, do you know if when WIDA will publish an alternative screener kit? It is already done. But are you wanting to know if you can purchase a really nice printed one? Is that the question? And if so, okay. So Tara Lynn's asking a really great question. If your LEA chooses, you can just print all the resources for free, black and white or in color at your LEA. If you really want a super nice, professionally printed kit, you can contact the WIDA store, okay? It's right here. It's always in the upper left-hand corner, no matter what website you're on or webpage you're on for WIDA. You can always go to their WIDA store. And in the WIDA store, you'll have to log in, of course, before you can purchase anything. But once you actually log in, oh boy, that's not saved. Sorry, I'm not going to do it right now. But you should be able to see what products are available. If you decide to purchase them, that is at the LEA's cost. WIDA will not cover that cost for you. So again, I'm not sure when professionally printed alternate screener kits are going to be available. I imagine very soon, but everything was just made live 6 days ago. So I imagine that they will have that as an option super soon. So as soon as they are, I'll let you know. All right. So this is what your landing page is going to look like for WIDA AMS. It says DRC Insight. DRC Insight is the whole system for everything technology related, okay? One little tip I'm going to give you about AMS that took me a long time to learn is this platform. It's like the platform that you need to click twice on for everything. Okay. I don't know why, but you have to click twice for everything to load in my experience. So just have patience with this platform. All right. So add and edit users. This is where you will be able to edit a user or add or upload multiple users, okay? Going back to my main page, okay? One thing that I think is super, super important is you can either go to documents or my applications has way more. I love going to general information. This platform, it is extensive. There's a ton on here. So go to documents and I just say show all documents. These are all the documents related to DRC. You will want the user guide, which is going to be first, okay? This user guide you can download as a PDF. So you can either save the PDF, or just open it. This will be your user guide for this whole AMS account and system, okay? So again, downloading it, it should pop it up, and this is your user guide for the entire AMS platform, okay? I have made Control F, that search, control, find, my best friend when looking in these documents to find exactly what I need, okay? So again, very first manual, technology user guide. We have AMS user guide. Again, this is going to be how to use the whole system and how to use Insight, okay? Technology coordinators, when you make an account for them, they just need a technology level account. They will want to be able to download all the different system requirements so they can download stuff on a proctor computer and a student computer, because Insight is the secure testing platform, and teachers will also need the correct Insight account and platform on their computers in order to launch the test, okay? And going back to my home page, I will have WIDA screener responses. So when you give the actual test, okay, I'm going to actually go back. You're going to manage students. This is where you're going to add students in that need to be screened for grades 1 through 12, okay? So this is where you can create students. We ask that you do try to use all correct spellings, SSIDs. Always use a state ID, not an LEA ID when entering students. For some reason, I've had LEAs just put in a bunch of X's as their ID. Please use their SSID, okay? Or their names are like 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that's definitely not a name. So please use their names correctly as well. We do not download student screener information here. Our source of truth is what you're going to put in your SIS. This is where you will add your students. And this is where you'll get your score responses. You will input your scores as well, okay? For the sake of time, we're going to keep moving on. Other responsibilities and dates as an AD. Sorry. We want you to first become familiar with that ID and placement guidance in the manuals, okay? Do note that we will do UTREX upload based on your pre-ID file. That will announce as we get closer, but you'll want to make sure that you're keeping your SIS updated. Another time frame that you'll want to mark on your calendar, again, we'll be going over this as we do the access training a little bit later, is going to be a data validation. Okay, that'll be March 30th through April 14th. You will need to make sure that you are distributing score reports as you get them and communicating training opportunities to educators and test administrators, okay? All right, so let's get into the screeners. Screeners are free for all LEAs unless, as we discussed, you choose to buy the professionally really pretty printed screener kits, okay, for kindergarten or alternate. Otherwise, they are free for download through the secure portal account and WIDA AMS. The screener is an English language proficiency assessment given to new students in all grades to help LEAs identify whether they are English learners, okay? What the screener does is it assesses the 4 required by law language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So it's 4 tests within the entire test. What happens when a student completes that screener is you will get a proficiency level for overall. That overall score is going to determine whether they are an English learner or not, but you will also get score proficiency levels for each domain. So you'll get one for the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. You will also get composite scores for oral language, so that's listening and speaking, literacy, which is going to be reading and writing, and of course that overall one. Score reports for screener are only produced at the student level, so you cannot get screener reports at a school, district, or state level. They only report at a student level because it's only for identification for that one student. Again, we went through the assessment guidance, okay? So we talked about this. What's the process? When a student enters a school, they're given that home language survey, okay? If any of the first 3 questions are answered with any language other than English, then they have to be screened, okay? We talked about if they came from another Utah school and they've already been screened, they've already taken access. You can look at those records in the data gateway. If not, or if a student is entering a school in Utah, let's say that they were in Utah a couple years ago, they moved, I don't know, to Colorado, and then they came back, they do need to be screened again, okay? So you're going to use any one of the WIDA screeners for K through 12. Once you give them that screener, you are going to, if they qualify, send home the annual notification letter. That's where you're going to go to forms in that Title III website we went over, and that needs to be sent to say your student qualifies for EL services. They will be identified as EL. And it needs to be sent in their preferred language. We provide a bunch of different languages there. But again, if it's a language that's not provided there, it is the responsibility of the LEA to properly translate that and send it to the parents or provide a translator to discuss that. You will then need to update your student information system. Now, this was the question that we got. Every SIS in the state of Utah is different. There is a plethora of different SIS, and they all need to talk to our system, Utrex. That's the Utah, basically, data exchange, where all data from every different district and charter is sent to Utah. In your SIS, if you do not know how to mark students correctly, please contact the help desk. Now, the state of Utah, USBE, does provide a free SIS called Aspire. One thing that we would like to let you know is that we in assessment do not have access to that system at all, and we do not run it. So you will want to contact the Aspire help desk, okay? In your SIS, though, what needs to happen is you need to make sure that names are spelled correctly, and you will need to put the date which the student was screened what that overall screener score was and whether or not they qualify as EL. So you will need to mark EL wherever in your SIS it is, the date the student was screened, and that overall score. Maureen, did I miss anything?
No, I think for screener, yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Yep.
Okay. Again, contact your SIS help desk because every SIS has a different place to mark this, but those 3 key pieces of information do need to be added to your SIS. So for our participant that asked that question earlier, hopefully that helps you. When you get your access testing, again, we will update, we'll give you more information. You do need to also put in access test scores when those students come, okay, and get those scores. Again, as we do our access trainings later, we'll give you more information on that. Some SIS only have one place, and you might have to update the screener score. Hopefully they have 2 places where you can update the scores annually and not lose past information. But every SIS is different, and there's too many for us to know the different ones. Talk to your help desk, please. All right, so what are our options? The first one is for incoming kindergarten students. This is a paper-based one-on-one test administration. Again, I showed you where you could access all of these materials in the WIDA secure portal. Okay. One thing to note, as you followed the test administration guidance and you saw those frequently asked questions in that assessment guidance, for students, kindergarten students coming in during the first semester, the first half of the year, you are only going to administer the oral domains, so speaking and listening. We don't expect those students to be proficient readers or writers yet. They're just entering kindergarten. So they will qualify based on those 2. In the second semester, you do not need to go back and assess the other 2 domains, okay? And again, this is all in the test administration manuals and guidance. If a kindergarten student comes in the second semester, then you do need to give all 4 domains, okay? So this one's going to be dependent on when they come. For regular, we are an online state, so we do all of our assessments online as we can. So the WIDA Screener Online is going to be given to grades 1 through 12. For grades 4 through 12, the entire assessment is given online, and that's going to be launched through your AMS account. For grades 1 through 3, the writing is paper-based. And again, you can do this in a group. It does not have to be one-on-one, okay? We don't expect students to be proficient in typing or have a ton of skills in that area. We don't want the technology to be a hindrance in this. So for writing, it'll be grades 1 through 3 that get to do paper-based writing, okay? You do score the writing and the speaking, which all is going to be recorded through AMS, and that's how you will access it and score it. That's why doing the training is very, very necessary, because you learn how to score those 2 domains. The reading and listening is automatically scored for you. Again, you will download all of these materials in the secure portal or in AMS. You can do, again, online, either one-on-one or in a group setting. It's up to you. Just make sure that the students have space for the speaking components, so they're not sitting on top of each other. They have the proper headgear. Again, all of this is in the manual. You can also do some practice tests with them to help make them feel a little more comfortable. Again, online is preferred. If a student comes to you, though, and they are brand new, never had any technology experience whatsoever, okay, don't assume the student doesn't have technology experience. So you can give paper. We house the paper at the state. Otherwise, they have to be purchased for money, and we pay for that. But we house this all at the state. So if you need a paper copy, please send it to me. You cannot do part of it online and part of it as paper, though. It's either all online, with the exception of grades 1 through 3, which is writing, that the system knows that, or the entire thing is paper, right? Contact me if you need a paper set, okay? Again, can be group or single. And again, paper is only going to be used in kind of those not common situations where the student comes and has zero, no to very little technology experience, or if the student requires accommodations, but they don't qualify for the alternate screener, okay? So again, contact me if you need that. You shouldn't have to do paper a ton. Most students come with some technology experience. Then we have the alternate screener, and this is for grades K through 12. This is all paper-based, one-on-one test administration. Everything is available through the secure portal. And this is going to be for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities that meet the criteria outlined in the alternate assessment participation guidelines. Tracy did note that will be updated, but again, they have to meet those guidelines in order to be given the alternate screener, okay? Otherwise, paper is going to be appropriate with accommodations. Our last option is going to be the WIDA model. That is K-12. This we allow as an option if an LEA chooses, except we do not provide this, okay? This can be online or paper. The WIDA model can be used for identification. We just will not provide this. This has to be an LEA choice, and it is at the cost of the LEA if they choose to purchase that.
And Megan, just really quickly, if you have a unique situation with a kiddo that you're struggling with accommodating or decision points, please do not hesitate to reach out and I'll help you navigate what to do.
Thank you. All right, so we have our different screeners. So once we give that screener, who's going to qualify? You know what, one thing I do want to say is I want to go back. When you're giving the screener, this is not on here, but this is on our frequently asked questions, and you will see this in the TAM. You look for the grade band guidance. So a student at the beginning of the year, let's say a student is in 6th grade, you're going to give them the 5th grade screener at the beginning of the year. So there's semester guidance because we don't expect them to have all the 6th grade knowledge yet. So they're going to take the 5th grade. You'll see the screener grader band guidance on all the websites and in the TAMs, okay? If you have questions about that, please reach out. All right, so in Utah, what qualifies for language services? We look at the overall score. The different domain scores, that can help with instructional purposes, but all the different scores are getting, or all the different screeners are going to give you scores of either 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, okay? If a student scores between a 1 and a 4.9, they qualify as an EL in Utah, okay? If the student receives a 5 or a 6, or between a 5 and 6, they are considered proficient, and you need to mark that in your SIS. So you still need to mark that the student was screened when they were screened, but that they had a score of a 5 or higher, and that they are considered proficient and do not qualify for services, okay? So again, anything lower than a 5, so a 4.9 or lower, that qualifies in the state of Utah as EL. Please do note, every state has different criteria. So if you have come from another state and you are used to a different process, that is because every state gets to set their own criteria per their population based on their own state's empirical data. This is what it is for the state of Utah. And this also includes the alternate screener. Who can give the screener? Any LEA employee, no volunteers. And the LEA, that employee has to complete the testing ethics training and that relevant WIDA screener training in the WIDA secure portal. Tracy has some considerations, and I'm going to have her go through that really quick because we are just about at time.
We're at time. So if you have alternate screener that needs to be administered for students, please work with your special ed department or your whoever is trained to administer those screeners to really work with the special ed teacher and ensuring that they have the appropriate supports in place during testing. So you can specifically read those bullet points and reach out if you have any questions. But having someone familiar with how the student communicates, behaves, you know, how they approach tasks in the testing session will be more successful.
Now, I do want to note we are at time, and I apologize. If you need to go, the rest of this is being recorded. We'll just go for a few more minutes, though. But we do want to honor your time. If you do need to go, we understand, and you can catch the rest in the recording online. That'll be posted online in about a day or two, okay? Otherwise, broader considerations, again, we have our guidance, our assessment guidance resource that we went over. Again, I talked about each state has a different criterion process. So if you come from a different state, it's different in every state. We get to set that. If a student has lived in Utah, moved out of state and returned, if it's during 2 different school years, you must screen the student again. So even if it was like the student moved at the end of last year and they moved to Idaho for the last month of last year and now they're back in Utah at the beginning of this year, yep, per federal law, they have to be screened again. I know. And one thing to note is that parents and guardians can exclude their students out of services. The home language survey is notice to the parents that they could be potentially screened. You do not, and this is a hard one, again, per federal law, you do not have to have parent consent to screen the student. They are being notified through the home language survey that the student could potentially be screened. But again, per federal law, you don't have to get parental consent to screen the student. Parents can, once a student is screened and considered EL or qualifies as EL in the state, they can opt their student out of language services, but they cannot opt their students out of testing for access. We will go over that in broader detail when we do our access training. This is a really tricky part of being an AD that we can provide a lot of guidance and support on and walk you through. But again, we will get into those details once we do that training. So again, if a student qualifies, you send home that annual notification letter. That is the letter there where students can say, I don't want them to be in services, okay? It doesn't exclude them from testing. The reason why is because all of this is directly tied to a student's civil rights. When is the access training meeting? That is a great question. I do not have my calendar readily available, but maybe one of my colleagues can pinpoint that date because I believe we have it set sometime in September, but don't hold me to that. I'll have a colleague find that. All right, we're almost done. I did want you to know, again, we said one of your responsibilities is going to be to communicate trainings. These are the trainings that we are going to be offering for this year, okay? These can all be signed up for in Midas, except for these self-paced ones, which I showed you in the WIDA Secure Portal. Those are free and available all year. We will have alternate access score reports trainings. Oh, and thank you. Yay. I have a bunch of colleagues that put it. September 8th, 9:30 to 11. We have writing with multilingual learners for secondary grades. This will be in person at USBE, and then engaging secondary newcomers in content area literacy, again, in person at USBE. And then our final training will be a two-part webinar virtual training when language and disability meet. So planning instruction to support multilingual learners who are dually identified. So you'll hear dually identified. Dually identified means students that qualify as EL, and students with the most significant cognitive disabilities qualify for special education services as well. All right, so those are the trainings available to ADs and the relevant educators within your LEAs. So again, now going back, hopefully we have met our goals for today. Learn about the assessment requirements, particularly screeners, and then hopefully you know the 2 accounts you need, and you have sent emails already where to access the numerous resources that you'll need and start bookmarking those and organizing them and understanding the process for identifying ELs in Utah. So this was a lot of information. Please, again, give yourself time to learn it. Reach out. Do not apologize when you reach out with all your good questions because we want them. Here is our contact information again. But I will say thank you for your time today. We are now going to be open to just open it up for questions. So you can either jump off if you need to, or we can stay on for good questions and conversation as you need it. And with that, thank you, thank you. We'll keep the recording going, even if people jump off, to answer questions that you might want to catch on the recording if you do need to get off.
Megan, can you hear me?
Sure can.
This
Sounds
is
like it's working.
Yeah, gosh dang. This is Susan Garrett. Under the WIDA Secure Portal, under my profile, I don't have a manage pull-down menu to put in people. I'm the only one doing it at my school. Do I need that?
You probably will, just in case, because that means that you don't have the correct permission level.
Okay.
As an AD at the district level account,
Yeah.
you should have that.
Okay.
And that means that you can access all the things that you would need to do your
Okay.
job. So even if you don't need it, we need to update your account. So send
Okay.
me an email to let
Okay.
me know that we need to update it, but let me know what email it's associated with, because I know
Okay.
emails change too.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah.